Okay, it is too hot outside, so we are going to cook, but I am searing these in the pan that I'm going to use in the sun oven. So all I'm doing in the house is searing these on the stove here, and then we're going to make 2 different meals in the sun oven at one time, and we're going to get this going so we've got meals while it is just too hot to cook, all ready handy for you. Pork chops are nice and seared. We're going to get this turned off. I'm going to add about 2 cups of chicken broth, and I've got a cup of rice that we're going to add, and about 8 ounces of cut up baby bella mushroom. Now I did go ahead and season my pork chops, so we're going to get that rice down in the pan better. Got our mushrooms in, and just going to kind of get this all in here as best we can. Want to get that rice under the liquid. I may need to add a little bit of maybe just water to the top of this. So I want this to cook with all the flavors getting mingled. All that rice will be absorbed, and the pork is in there nice and buried. You can barely see it anymore. And searing it actually helps retain the flavor of that. So we're going to get some scallions cut up and put that on top with a little bit more water to cover. I got about 2 ounces of cream cheese that I cut up in chunks. We're going to just distribute this in, and instead of adding any water to cover this, I'm going to add in some, yeah, these are cut, but I'm not having to dig into it, but whatever, just to break it up a little bit. Anyways, we're going to add a little bit of heavy whipping cream on top of this, and we'll let this all bake together, and that'll add it to be nice and creamy. I have about a cup of heavy whipping cream, so we're just going to pour that on top. I'm not going to do anything else. I'll just stir it up a little bit so it's all absorbed, and we're going to get this in the sun oven. Well, I was going to use the sun oven, but we can't get the temperature up very high because the sun just decided it just doesn't want to be out. So we're going to put it in the grill, in the gas grill. Right, there's the grill. Yeah, I don't want to hear any comments. It's dirty, whatever. So I set that on low, and we're just going to get this in here and let it cook as long as it needs to. All 4 burners are on. For our next meal, I do have the same pot. Now, if I were putting this in the sun oven, it would stack on top of here, but we're not doing that. I've got some radishes. I did cut up some Brussels sprouts. This is a turnip. We've got us some red onion, and I went in the garden to grab some more radishes. Look at those beauties. I did grab some thyme, rosemary, and this parsley, and I was able to get a couple garlic scapes. So we're going to get those all added into our pan. So I deboned a chicken breast, and I just cut it into thin strips, well, not too thin, about 1 inch thick, and I added some dried from last year, this is basil from last year, and just some butter, little scallops of butter on there. I'm only adding about 1/4 cup of water, and we're going to cover this with foil. Alright, let's get our other pan added. Now normally these pans in a sun oven would go on top of one another and they would cook together. So we're going to let this go and get it nice and cooked, and then we'll have meals ready, 2 different meals completely ready for when it is too hot to cook. Alright, the pork chop is so tender. I'm going to have to cook all my pork chops like this. The cream cheese we're just going to mix in, and the mushrooms, oh my goodness, this is going to be fabulous. Look at that, nice and creamy. It's like a cream of mushroom with rice and pork chop. Other pork chop is over here. Look at that, it just breaks apart. Wonderful, nice and tender. Well, we're still waiting on the chicken, and that should be done within a half hour. So this is one of our first meals. We'll continue on with the next. All right, our chicken has cooked all the way through, and the Brussels sprouts are nice and tender. Smells fabulous with that basil, and we've got our radishes. You know, radishes are a good replacement for potatoes. And the turnip is tender, so that's great. And the onions cooked, so I believe we are all done. And so now we've got 2 meals already prepared, prepped once, cooked it all at the same time, and we are finished. Nice to have 2 meals ready.